Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
Podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey, all you happy Hempsters. Thanks again for joining us. So Matt really doesn't know what I'm going to talk about today. I gave him like a little preview, but I really didn't tell him a lot. So, yeah. Over the weekend, I'm just going to dive right into it, Matt. So over the weekend, I was with some family members. They came down to spend the weekend with me, and we had a fabulous time. I had so much fun with them. I hadn't hung out with my nephew in probably, going on probably 18 years. So he's all grown up now and is a man. And he made me a really cool, he's a machinist actually, and made me a really cool thing with our logo, which I will treasure forever. But we did this fun thing. We went down to Castle and Key Distillery in Frankfurt, and it was super cool walking around this place. And I know we're hemp and cannabis, but I'm getting there. Just give me a minute. But they talked about the backstory, and lo and behold, the original owner, his name was Taylor. And it was the Taylor Distillery Company way back in the 1900s, like even before Prohibition. And he actually had a rail car that would lead people down to his big castle that he built. And it was super neat. It was almost like going to a sanatorium, like clean. They had windows and everything was clean, and his servants were wearing white coats. So it just looked like it was medicinal. And, people are coming there to party their butts off, right, and drink his bourbon, which is quite comical because, he wanted it to be relaxing, and even almost made this bathhouse for people to chill out with by the spring, because it's by the spring. It's a really neat little tour. I actually really enjoyed it, and I am not a drinker at all whatsoever. Occasional glass of wine here and there, but those partying days are like college. I don't like the way I feel later when I drink alcohol, because to me, it is poison. But this kind of brings me to, one, how Prohibition changed things as far as alcohol goes, and how Prohibition with cannabis has happened all these years, right? How they've just completely destroyed things. But I just wanted to throw out a few fun facts. The amount of deaths from alcohol use in the United States is insane. There's more than 140,000 people that die from excessive alcohol use. Did you know that?
Does that include car accidents?
It does include car accidents, yes.
Okay. I'm surprised. Yeah. That almost sounds low.
And that's just 1 year. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, right. That's just 1 year. 1 year. Now, worldwide, guess how many?
5 million.
Close. 3. 3 million people die every year from some sort of alcohol abuse, whether it's through car accidents, whether it's from drinking themselves to death. But yeah, that's a shit ton amount of people that die from this stuff. So why is it legal? I mean, why is alcohol legal when cannabis is illegal in some states, most states, and most countries it's illegal, and yet no one has truly died from cannabis use?
Yeah. Well, there's not been a economic interest that alcohol's interfered with. Alcohol's been the economic interest.
Exactly.
And maintained itself as the economic interest. So that's why.
Exactly.
I mean, our listeners, I like to think our listeners are the upper echelon
yes.
of the free thinking public or republic in which we live in.
Yes.
So I think they know why.
Oh, I'm sure they know why.
But it is pretty ridiculous that that's so out in the open.
It is extremely ridiculous. I mean, you see alcohol commercials all the time, and then you hear people like, "Well, I'm sober free now for this many years from alcohol because it was killing me and it was, doing damage to my relationships, alcoholism in general, and how much damage that does to families and just just in general, mind you. But it was kind of funny how at that Castle and Key place, I mean, it was all about the party, right? It was all about the party. So when I started kind of thinking about what I wanted to do for this episode, while yes, I give you those statistics of the alcohol, I think my next goal, I kind of want my own little, like I want to do a cannabis distillery, like do a little tour. I think it'd be so much fun.
You do like a hempery distiller.
I know, tour, right? A hempery distillery.
You can't distill.
I know, I can't do cannabis. Cannabis
cannabis.
Kentucky.
Well, and also you can't mix cannabis and alcohol.
Well,
that's super illegal, and it's actually really bad for you.
It is really bad for you, but you can do it.
I mean, you can do it and have an awesome time.
You can. But you know what though? My own experience. Okay, so one time I was with some girls. It was a girls' weekend. It was a fun little trip. I mean, we were just hanging out at home, but all the girls came over, and I had way too much alcohol. And then they're like, "Ooh, let's smoke a joint." And I'm like, "Well, okay, we're all partying. Sure, why not?" I got sicker than a dog. I did not like that. I did not like mixing the two. I was all woozy. It was awful. It was not a good experience for me. So I have never mixed the two since. If I have a glass of wine, then I don't do anything else. Or if I have cannabis, then I don't do the wine. I do not like mixing the two at all. It was not cool. But you know what is?
I plead the fifth.
I know. This has all been years later, so I can't get myself in trouble.
Just talking about myself. You talk away.
I know, right?
I'm pleading the fifth.
You plead the fifth. Go ahead.
Actually, you were at my house last week.
I know.
So you know exactly what I do.
Hello.
So, you know.
We hang out outside of work, too, because he has a pool. No. Plus, he cooks good food. But anyway, but the one thing I wanted to bring up is cooking with cannabis.
All right.
Yeah. So that is super, super fun. And I want to get into it more because I'd like to make more edibles. Not granted, ours will have to be hemp edibles, but still, I mean, there's a lot of benefits. We've talked about this in other shows.
Now it will.
Yes.
That doesn't mean in the future.
I know, right? Well, and because you and I have talked about it, edibles are healthier than smoking.
Oh, 100%.
100%. So why not learn how to cook with cannabis? I think it is just fascinating. There's so many things you can do. Like besides, I mean, everybody's heard of, oh God, I got some brownies from my friend. Y'all be careful with that. You don't know how much cannabis is in that and it can wreck your day.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be too much and then you're not enjoying yourselves.
Well, and that's the problem with homemade edibles.
Yes.
Is even if you're really good, it's hard to regulate the milligrams.
It is.
Like you can in, more of a lab setting.
Yes.
Where you can specifically get a gummy, like our Ultra Spectrum.
Yes.
That has a very specific blend of cannabinoids and a very specific blend of compliant THC.
Yes.
Which, is enough, but
and they don't taste too bad.
Necessarily recreational. So that's the only caveat to edibles. But yes, they're delicious and fun. Yeah. And you have to be really careful to keep them away from children as well.
You do.
That's the other thing.
Of course.
You got to be a free-thinking, responsible person.
Yes, of
Child-proof container, top shelf.
Yes. For sure.
Think.
Okay. But if you go back to cooking with cannabis and how you could make that into a party. I mean, I don't know if y'all ever watch Vice News or the Vice channel. They've got like Bon Appetit. They've got so many weed cooking shows on there. And it's pretty neat to watch some of that stuff because it's not like you can just do that here in Kentucky per se, legally anyway. And it's not like you can make real edibles that have all the THC in them. I mean, granted, you can still get a good healthy dose.
Do you really want that though?
Some people do.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do. I think some people would much rather do that than drink alcohol.
Yes. But even that, there's still a limit, like
there's
as to how much
THC
THC you want to consume.
Well, yeah. But the good thing about that is, I mean, even if you consume too much THC and you are definitely feeling the effects, it wears off.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Eventually.
It does.
But you're still, it's the same thing as like, oh, why are you taking a shot? Oh, because I want to fast forward to the embarrassing part of the evening. Like, let's not have fun. Like,
Those are your drinks,
really
man.
strong-
Those are your drinks.
Or my drinks are awesome.
Yeah,
And
buddy.
I think that
Add some
I
more
think
ice.
I think that a appropriate preparer of edibles knows how strong they are.
Exactly.
And
it is a science. It's a science.
I do believe it as a science, and I think that if you're sharp, if you can keep your edibles to 20 to 30 milligrams a serving, you're in good shape.
Yeah, but I can't even do that much. We all know that I'm a lightweight, and it cracks everybody up because I cannot do a lot of THC at once.
Well, and again, if you're doing this in a legal state, just want to qualify that.
Correct.
Because we're not advocating any illegal activity.
No, and I'm talking about cooking with like hemp products too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You want to know.
Yeah, you do.
You want to know the strength of what you're reducing.
And not even that. In my research, you want to know what type it is. I mean, what's the terpene profile in it? Because if you add something to the butter, if you're making the cannabis butter or the hemp butter, whatever you want to call it, I just use cannabis in general because it is the form of the plant, right? THC levels aside, but you got to know like what the terpene profile is, because if you use that cannabis butter and it's like super rich in terpenes, that stuff you make might not taste so good.
Right.
Because tampons, oh my God, terpene, I don't know where the hell that came from. Sorry. Terpenes. Maybe that was
she says this stuff to customers at the store.
I do not. But terpenes, some of them are really nasty flavored. I mean, it's gross. Like you get too terpene rich of stuff and you're like, ugh.
Well, yeah.
And when you're baking with it, you don't want to eat a cookie that tastes like ganja ass.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
You know, and also, you really have to ask yourself, are you going to leave the byproduct in, just the biomass in the butter or the oil, or are you gonna filter it out?
You are supposed to filter it out.
Right, but why? If you're making something chocolate based that you're not going to taste, it's the same thing as adding vegetables. It's fiber. And as long as it's all naturally grown and doesn't have pesticides, which is another thing you need to be aware of. Oh, you do got to
be aware of that.
When you're purchasing flour in a legal situation, you need to know where it's coming from, just like you need to know where your CBD is coming from.
For sure.
Because if there's pesticides in there,
well, yeah, you don't want that shit.
Yeah. But I think that leaving that in is a nice little bit of fiber in your diet. And if it's chocolate, you'll never taste it. It won't taste any different if you do it correctly.
I've tasted some hemp chocolate where it was like the pieces and stuff in it, and it was disgusting.
But if it's finely ground,
it's a local brand.
Yeah,
that was gross.
Yeah, if it's finely ground.
No, not even finely ground, man.
We're gonna agree to disagree.
I'll get you a piece of that, and you tell me. Oh, you cray. You eat some weird shit though too on your diet. So
by weird, you mean delicious and healthy?
I don't know about that. Yeah, moving on.
Continue with your tale.
Moving on. But what I was gonna tell the listeners is that there are some actual like cannabis cooking classes you can take. So there's a cannabis training university. So I thought that was pretty cool. I might have to sign up.
Wow.
So it literally goes through the step-by-step of how to create the butter, even using hemp products, right? The low THC products, you can still make the same things with it and make that kind of stuff in it. But it goes through the steps on how to do all of that stuff. And I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool because one day, #goals. I would love to have my own cannabis store that just does edibles, and I mean fun edibles. I like to bake. I love to bake, and I like to make people happy, and I did that over the weekend too.
I bet if flour was legal in Kentucky, Sullivan would be all over that.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're
culinary
all up
delights.
into that culinary, unique culinary stuff. Mm-hmm. I bet that would happen.
Yep. There's things that like this school will teach you. Like you want to cook cannabis on low heat. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want things on high heat. It can just totally mess with the whole profile of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. I think that's kind of cool though, that this is almost like a new industry that's coming about, is how to cook with cannabis and hemp in general too. But I think it's something that people like and enjoy, and you don't have the hangovers the next day like you would at like a party with alcohol.
Sure. Well,
You know what I mean? So cannabis parties, they are happening all over, and more people are getting involved in it. Now, the one thing you do not want to do is do that, put cannabis in food and not tell the people that are consuming it.
Right.
That is horribly wrong.
Right.
And I think that just happened at a wedding not too long ago. I heard the bride and the caterer did something like that, and then her guests were like livid. I could not imagine doing something like that. Like,
really?
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't too long ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was at a wedding once with a very rural
moonshine
section of the wedding party, and the bride requested sushi as the meal.
Ew.
And I saw this good old boy slap on a spoonful of wasabi on his plate, like thinking it was some kind of mashed potato or something.
Oh,
took a spoonful out of it before
no.
anybody could do anything. And I mean, I'd never seen overalls run so fast.
Oh no!
Not to pick on people from rural backgrounds that don't have access to sushi, but it was very fun, and I could see that
I'm not a sushi fan. So.
I know you're not. But shit's delicious.
Nope. I can't eat rice.
You'd like it if it had ganja on it.
I don't even know about that.
A ganja roll?
No, but that's an idea.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nori, my ass.
We are copywriting all of this so nobody can steal our ideas.
I'm sure there's someone out there that's replaced nori with shredded cannabis leaf.
If not, I'm sure somebody has. I mean, I've seen things like where they even just fry the actual leaf part to it and eat that.
What's your favorite?
What's
edible?
my favorite? Oh, chocolates.
Really?
Yeah, chocolates are cookies. I think those are just easy to eat and they taste good. I think, you got to make it like a good serving size without a high amount of THC in it. Do you know what I mean? So that's the one thing I don't like about current edibles.
Yeah, they're too strong.
Yeah.
I think the lower THC.
You can only have 1/8 of it. Well, fuck, I want the whole cookie.
Have
you seen me? I need the whole cookie.
And not to pick on the cannabis industry, but one problem that they're having is the really nice flowers they're making really, really high in THC and really, really low in CBD.
That ain't the cannabis of the yesteryears, folks.
Well, but there's hopefully kind of when all this starts to shuffle down, people will realize a more cannabinoid-rich profile is healthier. Mm-hmm.
It is. It's way healthier to consume.
And preferably eaten over smoked.
Yeah, and not even necessarily eating edibles to get high. Really, even for the health benefits of it too, right? I mean,
which is why I leave the
exactly
the biomass in for the. I'm telling you, fiber in your diet.
You can get fiber in your diet from an apple.
You can.
Okay.
But it's not the same kind of fiber.
Well, I mean,
are you familiar with hemp fibers?
And there's tons of protein still in it too. I know.
And the seeds.
Yes, the seeds are very, very, very healthy for you. And you can add those to almost anything. Mm-hmm. A good watermelon salad with some hemp seed. I had that. There was actually a few years ago, it was part of Sullivan and Farmington. They did a hemp dinner, and John and I actually sponsored it, and it was phenomenal. I mean, that he even used like the hemp extract and some of the oil for the salad. They had this he had this watermelon and hemp seed. It was truly a delicious dinner, and it was so nutritious because of the hemp that was added into it. I mean, it was good. I definitely think that incorporating some of the hemp products, and I mean, we even have a olive oil and coconut oil that has the CBD right in it that you can actually use for cooking. And I made some great fried taters out of that coconut oil. I mean, it was really good. So there's just so many different things you can do to
keep it healthy, Dee Dee.
I know, right? That's my guilty pleasure.
I can fry this.
Fried taters. Yep, you can fry it. But I truly do believe that the more that cannabis becomes legalized throughout the country, that you're going to see more and more edible stores like that pop up. And I think it's good to start learning about that kind of stuff now. And that way you're doing it right.
So do all these recipes involve reducing the flour or the biomass down to an oil or
No,
a butter?
Most of them are a butter.
Or a butter?
Yeah.
And then you add the butter to the dish?
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you run into any recipes where you just put the flour directly into?
I did find a couple. But again, I don't think that's the preferred method. Unfortunately, it's not.
I agree. Well, and isn't there something where you you're going to know this better than me, but where you heat to a very specific temperature because, like you said,
Yes.
boiling it will actually evaporate.
It doesn't. It doesn't necessarily
alter
evaporate, but it alters the chemical compound in it.
right, like the THCA.
Yeah. You want to keep it. I don't remember the exact amount and for how long, but there are certain heating points that you do not want to bring cannabis to,
Right.
and that's what some of these little schools are pretty good about teaching. And it would not surprise me soon that Sullivan would have a class in that. Not at all. I think that would be awesome.
That would be.
Yeah, for
And there
sure.
you go.
I know, right?
You're on your way.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that you can cook with cannabis and have a good time, and there's no known deaths from cannabis overdoses.
Right.
So that's the one thing, like bringing that all back home as to what is legal, what isn't legal, and how many people have died from alcohol. And now, granted, can you, and we've talked about this before too, can you become addicted to marijuana? I don't know about addiction, truly. I think you can use too much of it and maybe form a bad habit of it where you don't necessarily need it and you're just using it to get high and to escape reality. That's always, you can do that with anything. With anything, you can use too much of something if you're using it to escape reality.
Yes, but
yes.
the anandamide
Yes.
replacement is specific to THC. And,
True.
And I do agree. I do agree with that. You have to. I think that people should use THC to get them to a place where they can cope.
Yeah.
They shouldn't use THC to replace coping and,
I agree.
and escape.
I agree.
The issue. You have to deal with your issues. We have to deal with our issues.
Well, of course. But I do think cannabis helps somewhat deal with some of those issues.
Oh, I do. And I think,
way healthier than alcohol.
I was actually listening to a guru speak the other day about, and I'll tell this story quick.
Okay.
Anandamide in the brain and how proper yoga releases adequate anandamide to get you to a very similar state of participating in consumption of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
But and here's what's interesting to me as someone who's studying meditation, and even though I suck at yoga, I enjoy it. Until you've had that enhanced anandamide experience, you kind of don't know what you're going for. So it's almost like you have to get there. If you get there synthetically, not even synthetically, but you know what the experience should be like. And then it helps your brain map out the revisitation of that.
Well, I'm just saying, a few times, I have done like a piece of our CBD full spectrum hemp extract chocolate, and then did yoga, and it was fabulous.
The Delta 8 or the
actually
chocolate?
Just the CBD chocolate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
No,
to
when
me.
I do Delta 8, I just want to veg on the couch and laugh.
Well, what's interesting about that to me is that the whole thing with the cortical stimulation and CBD, and does that then also help the brain release or figure out how to release those chemicals? Because you're releasing those chemicals on your own.
You are. But I tell you what, I just felt so much less stressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like truly,
Totally.
I'm not peace of one, but or whatever it is. But
I don't believe in all that shit.
I know, but I truly did feel peaceful and I got a good workout in. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
I do a little bit more of the power yoga more so than I do the slow flow type stuff. But
yeah.
it was still it got me out of my head.
Well, and that's two different types of yoga. There's like the workout yoga, and then there's the yoga for meditation to separate from the mind and the self.
And they're all good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're all beneficial.
I wouldn't,
I love yoga. I don't want to call myself a yogi because it's been a while since I have practiced, but I love yoga and I love the cannabis side with the yoga to it too.
But I almost think there should be a delineation between like the power yoga and then the yogi Bhagavad Gita yoga, and I apologize for the listeners that are probably going to write in and tell me I mispronounced the shit out of that. But there's a difference there.
Well, and there's many different yoga instructors and what they teach and what they, it's fascinating if we're going down the yoga route.
I'm sorry, we're going down the edible route.
We were.
But we still are. But yeah.
But I just thought it was kind of cool to, all those parties that they had before Prohibition and then how Prohibition and this alcohol prohibition, how it changed all of that. And then, you had all those speakeasies. And then all of a sudden, that's kind of what we're seeing in our generation is how cannabis was in Prohibition for so long. And now it's just slowly starting to come around and we're trying to end this war on drugs. And I think it's fascinating to me. All these new industries that are coming out of the ending of this Prohibition era. So I think there's a lot of room for new products on the market, new things, and you just need to be able to be educated about what you're doing. And I think that's where some of these cooking classes, and I mean, even just watching the Vice channels and stuff where they talk about the cooking stuff, I think it's just fascinating because I love to feed people. I love to see them happy with food. And I think that was the fun part that we had of our weekend, even though I'm gonna pay for that at the gym this week, but we enjoyed ourselves, you know what I mean? And we all enjoyed it. And there may have been some THC stuff going on over the weekend, but I mean, all the legal
federally
stuff,
compliant hemp,
of course,
hemp-based.
Always.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. And I think it's just brings a little bit of fun stuff into whatever it is you're wanting to do. So, and because people always bring alcohol for the fun, I mean, I see no reason why people can't bring the cannabis for the fun too. So just learn how to do it correctly and don't give it to people that don't know that you're giving them that. So as far as the edibles go, but yeah.
Well, and it's the same, we keep coming back to the same thing. People need to think for themselves.
They do.
And be smart, make good choices.
Always.
Ask yourself, is this a smart choice? And if the answer is no, don't do it.
Right.
Learn from your mistakes.
Always learn from your mistakes, people.
But don't live in the past.
No, definitely not. I think it's good where we are going as a country and ending the war on drugs and getting cannabis legal in all, hopefully 50 states and federally and all that stuff. So one day I see it being a lot more mainstream. I mean, I'm happy that we at least do have hemp products here in Kentucky, and hopefully we can get that changed so we have medical marijuana for the people that truly need that higher THC form of THC. I am glad we at least have the hemp products. So, you can look at it one way in Kentucky and look at it in another, and I'm at least grateful that we have something because,
I think that the products that we have are wonderful.
Oh, they are.
And I love that we're coming, I mean, it sounds weird, but I love that we're coming in the way we're coming in with edibles instead of flower, because smoking is bad for you. We established that in a previous podcast.
We have.
And hang on, it's bad for you.
I know.
You're consuming.
But people love to smoke.
Yeah, well,
people do.
People love to do a lot of things.
I know, but
people
I'm
love
just
heroin.
Saying, oh, dude, we're not going there.
Well, I mean, it's bad for the bottom line. Is smoking's bad for you.
I know.
Is it as bad as doing heroin? No. Is it bad? Yes.
But,
are you putting free radicals in your body, cancer causing tar? Yes.
But if we're gonna talk about smoking and being illegal, then why the hell are cigarettes still legal?
Agreed. 100%. You should have the choice.
You should have the choice. Hemp cigarettes or tobacco cigarettes. And I'm sorry, but hemp cigarettes should be legal.
Agreed.
Thank you.
But on that same subject, we're coming in at edibles. We're coming in with a allowable amount of THC that isn't over the top, and other cannabinoids, which is, in my opinion, I like the idea of a cannabinoid rich edible over a knock you upside your head THC edible all day long.
I completely and 100% agree. And when I'm talking about edibles in general, because we are only a hemp state, I am talking about hemp, people, just so you know.
I'm not.
Well, I know, but I mean, when I'm talking about
there are legal states.
There are legal states, and we do have people in other states that listen to us.
I think we're legally allowed to talk about cooking cannabis.
I would hope so.
As long as we don't actually do it on the show.
Well,
with some really good whatever.
But to back up to that whole smoking thing, you know what bugs me about this state though? The fact that anybody can get online and order hemp cigarettes from another state and it'd be delivered right to them. Now, is it legal for them to smoke them? I don't see anything in the KRS that says it is, only if you sell it. So
yes.
that's the one thing that pisses me off about that.
Yes, but if you get caught smoking one of those.
Yeah, but it's hemp.
I understand, but you're still going to have a fight on your hands. It's still going to cost you money.
Are you?
Yes, and it will be a pain in the ass.
I mean, if you
get the wrong cop on the wrong day.
Well, yeah, maybe, because then he'll say it's marijuana. But I mean,
looking right at, because it's all about the revenue. They're looking to write a ticket.
Yes.
And you're still going to pay the legal fees.
True.
You're still going to go to court.
True. But sometimes I feel like we are still back-ass words in this state.
Because we are.
I know. And
but that's
infuriating.
But sometimes that can lead to good things.
I know.
Right? We have to be positive.
We do.
And that's what I was saying. Like, we're kind of coming in bass backwards, right? With the way,
yep.
But now you're on the council for the committee for medical marijuana,
medical cannabis,
or medical cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
marijuana is a racist word.
It actually says marijuana on the thing. Does it say cannabis?
It says cannabis.
Are you sure?
Betcha.
I'm pretty sure I saw one that said MMJ.
Bet I use MMJ a lot.
Okay, well, you should stop. Because
medical marijuana.
Because that acronym
NMC
says
medical cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Medical Americannabis.
Medical Americannabis. Yeah. Anyway, that was kind of really all I wanted to talk about, was that you can have fun with edibles just like you can have fun with alcohol.
Mm-hmm. You still have to be responsible.
Exactly.
Jinx.
Be responsible. Be a responsible adult, for crying out loud.
But have fun and enjoy your life.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was about it.
And in the immortal words of Bob Marley, they couldn't tell God it's not legal.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So think on that.
That's right. Thanks again, everybody, for listening to us. Make sure you follow us on all the socials. We are out there and very loud and proud about what we do for a living. And obviously, if you have questions about anything that we talk about in our shows, please reach out to us. But you know the drill, man. Keep it hempy out there. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hempin' Happiness with the Hemp Queen
and Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
keep it hempy out there.